Well, folks, it seems they're at it again. People on social media trying to frighten South Africans regarding the refugee program to come to the United States. You need to ask yourself this question. When someone posts something on Facebook or on other social media sites, and they purport to have information about the refugee program, ask yourself where the information came from. Now, there are anecdotal instances of information, people who participate in the program who've come over in the original 59ers back in mid-May, on the 12th of May, who arrived. Each of them has a different story. There are others who've come to the United States since then that not publicly disclosed, but I'm aware of many of those people who've come over. And there are other people who are participating in the process who sent an email in to PRM address, or those who filled out a statement of interest and have been called or contacted or been sent forms for giving permission for background investigations, or have additionally also had interviews and such. But you're getting a lot of people who are claiming to be experts or have the information. You need to ask yourself this question. Whenever you read this stuff, before you get in a panic, does the person who's posting the information have two things: placement and access? Do they have placement in a position of trust or responsibility where they would credibly have access to that information? None of these people have that. None of them. Now, they can analyze and give you their opinion, which is something that I offer, but mine's an informed opinion from decades of experience, having worked in embassies, having been involved in the asylum process here in America, and also having been involved with processing and involved with refugees overseas and being familiar with the law. So you don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to anybody. But I caution you about getting in a panic and losing your crap over people who are posting things on Facebook like saying, well, this is the reason I'm doing this video. Well, they're only taking selective people. Only selective people get to go to the States. Well, what's the basis for that? I don't know what that post is all about. I was sent a screen capture of someone making that claim. Well, all I can infer from their argument that they're taking selective people is they must mean a certain category of people. Well, I can categorically prove that that's false. It's certainly not a category of people. It's not farmers. It's not white people. It's not Afrikaners. All of those people can apply and be qualified to come under the refugee resettlement program. But also coloreds and Indians can come over, anyone suffering from unjust racial discrimination. And most of the people who've come to America aren't even farmers. And some aren't Afrikaners. Some are colored, and I'm not aware of Indians arriving yet, but I know of Indians who've been interviewed. So this nonsense of people trying to frighten you. And what's the other basis for selective? They're only going to take certain people who sent certain things in? We don't know. This is utter nonsense. People making claims about they're only taking certain people. What are you talking about? What is your basis for that information? How do you have that information? How do you come by that information? It's simply implausible, the nonsense that people are spewing about this. Again, folks, don't get in a panic. All the information you need, the limited information that's available, is on the U.S. Embassy website, za.usembassy.gov. Go there, click on the link. It tells you who qualifies for the program, and it's not ambiguous. It's very clear. South African citizen, Afrikaner ethnicity, or other racial minority suffering from unjust racial discrimination in the past, or a legitimate fear of it happening in the future. It's as simple as that, folks. It's not rocket science. All these people making up things that are based on nothing but their opinion are very dangerous. Running around without substantiating things. We've seen this over and over again from people doing this. Now, I don't share things with you unless I can confirm them, oftentimes with more than one source. It isn't always possible to get more than one source, but I try to confirm with more than one source. And my analysis is my analysis. I tell you it's my analysis. But I'm not going to speculate here, and I don't know where this nonsense is coming from, that they're being selective. How are they being selective? I can tell you about old people who've come. I can tell you about people who are physically infirm who've come. I can tell you people who aren't white who've come over. I can tell you about people who are wealthy, reasonably wealthy, and people who are dirt poor who've come over. What is the basis? People have come from multiple provinces over here, including in Mpumalanga, the Free State, Gauteng. So what is the selective basis of this? And what is your position and your placement and access to have that information? That's my question. That's a question you should be asking. Don't just fall for this nonsense. Now, I don't know who the person was that posted this and why someone sent it to me, but they were panicking. Well, they're not going to take my thing. And people speculate because they sent the statement of interest they filled in May 12th and they haven't heard anything. Well, folks, I mean, I don't think people realize the gravity or the scale of this. We're talking about tens of thousands of statements of interest, not to mention the initial tens of thousands of emails went to PRM, some of which they're actually dealing with. I know that I can confirm that people who only sent the email in have been contacted since June. And in July, they've been contacted for interviews and filling out the paperwork. So they're working apparently off of both, off the statement of interest and the original PRM emails, although I don't think they're answering anymore. We don't know, but I believe that be the case. So the fact that you haven't got a response, and maybe your neighbor sent in a statement in June and they've already been called, doesn't mean you've been rejected. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be answered. These are cockprodders who don't know what they're talking about. I can confirm unequivocally that the U.S. government is not ignoring these things, and they're addressing them as quickly and as best they can. The one major development we've heard about this in the past week, which the Americaners is the story they broke, is that a non-government organization, which is part of World Church Services based out of Muncie, Indiana, with a subsidiary in Africa, the RCS, I think they're called, they are actually processing and doing screening and setting up appointments for the refugees in South Africa. They're based out of Kenya. They may very well find themselves working out of South Africa at some point, but right now they're working in Kenya. So if you get a phone call from a 254 country code, don't ignore it. Someone in Kenya is calling you on behalf of the U.S. government, okay? But the fact that you haven't heard anything doesn't mean that your information is not going to be considered. That's just someone that doesn't know what they're talking about and has no basis for frightening you in that fashion, okay? So all I can advise is patience. That's all you can do. Freaking out won't accelerate the process. Complaining about the process, which you're not owed, by the way, won't accelerate the process. Lying about the process to dissuade people from coming over is dishonest. So patience is all I can advise. All right, and the more we know, the more we'll share. Cheers, folks. Have a good day.